Welcome to episode 7 of Truck Case Mentor. I'm Fred Burkey, and we're talking about overcoming your fears in today's episode. Let's jump in. You may have had the experience of taking a new truck case and having this nagging insecurity that you don't quite know what to do, you don't know the issues, you're unfamiliar with how to handle multiple parties, multiple insurance defense firms. It's just you, perhaps, and maybe an associate if you're fortunate. And if there's anything you've learned, you're outgunned and you're in an element you're not familiar with. It's scary. You don't know where to look, you don't know where to start, and you lose all your confidence. Wouldn't it be great if you could jump in with a plan, follow a strategy, get the key evidence in the case, settle it at mediation, obtain a great recovery for your client, and supercharge your practice? Here are the reasons you might not be getting the confidence you need to reach your fullest potential in a truck case. Not knowing the issues, not knowing how all the parties fit together, not having an understanding of the minimum standard of care, which is reflected in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, and not knowing the industry best practices or the industry standards of care, and having fear stop you from realizing your full potential. Well, I've certainly been there. I've handled several large cases in the past. One case I remember in particular was a commercial case. The issues were novel. It involved a broker and a transport company. It had multiple layers, 3 insurance defense firms, all of which were highly skilled, not only in medical malpractice, but in trucking litigation defense. At any given time in the case, there were 6 attorneys, probably more actually as I think of it now, 3 lead attorneys, an associate for each, a second associate to do all the groundwork, and then of course a staff of paralegals and legal assistants to go behind each of them. And at the time, it was just me. I didn't have an associate. I was a solo practitioner. I remember I lived in Midtown Atlanta, and the lead insurance defense firm also happened to be a block from where I lived. And I remember walking home from work in the evenings and walking past this insurance defense firm, which ironically was painted black. And I just remember having this sense of dread and fear that I wasn't up to the job, that I couldn't do it, that I was foolish for even thinking that I could handle the case just by myself with no other help. I think what I did in that case is I pushed through the fear I had. I learned from Jerry Spence at Trial Lawyers College that fear is a natural human emotion and something that you should listen to. I used it to motivate myself to learn. I looked deeper into the case and I asked the questions of not only what happened, but why did it happen? I explored the why and researched the questions that I knew a jury would ask. Why did it happen? Why should we care about it? And what's there to do about it? I arrived at a theory. I pushed hard in the litigation. I pushed through my fears and ultimately resolved the case and got a great recovery for my client. I'm only sharing that because I've been there, we've all been there and had the experience of having fear get in our way. And I used it as inspiration to push me harder to do the best I could do for my client. So here's some of the things you can do in the future if you get into that spot where fear gets in your way. Realize that fear is natural and a human emotion. Use it to motivate you to do better, to dig deeper, to learn the law, to learn the issues. Consider getting an instructor and someone who can guide you through the process and give you the confidence you need to push through, push past the fear, get the confidence you need to finish the case, and get a great recovery for your client. Thanks for listening to this episode of Truck Case Mentor. If you have any questions or if there's just any way I can help, don't hesitate to reach out. Fred at TruckCaseMentor.com. Thanks for listening.